Marching is not going to stop this. Voting is not going to stop this. And while it is great to see people around the world expressing love and solidarity, we have to think smarter and think for the longer game. The reason that this country allows us to protest is because they know that it dissipates our energy. Like whether your parents were permissive or whether they were strict, in the end, you did what they said. And the same thing is very much true of states. I'm not here to protect anyone's feelings because the people of Gaza and other people all around the world, like the people of Yemen who we basically completely ignored while they were getting absolutely pounded, like we here continue to ignore the people who are incarcerated and essentially, not essentially, but literally and legally still slaves. When these acute moments happen, when these moments that get us all riled up happen, we turn to each other for comfort. We turn to each other to express. We turn to each other to do all of these things. But in the end, it's about making us feel better. I was going to cut in a bunch of videos of like me at protests during like 2015 Black Lives Matter movement originally, but I'm not going to do any of that. I don't need to show you my bona fides to have you believe that I have been there and know what I'm talking about in this regard. Related story, at one of those marches I went to, someone that I was with was basically like shitting on the whole thing and was like, what is this going to do? What's the point of all this marching? And I got pissed off. I was like, what are you talking about? Like, this is what we're supposed to do. And it wasn't even until years later, after participating in like tons of marches and, and voting right and getting involved in every way that I knew how then, that I saw that he had a point. Not only did nothing change, they developed better strategies for corralling protests. And they've gotten better at shutting down protests when they've, let us have our little say or whatever, and they're tired of it and they want to go home. Then they just shut the whole thing down. And what do? We go home, we say we'll be back the next day, whatever. And we do for some period of time, sure. But the conclusion that I've come to, unfortunately, is that there is a similarity to voting and protesting in terms of what they will do in the long run. And it's not nothing, but it's not enough. Now, look, I am not an organizer. I am an artist. I am not organized enough as a human being to be an organizer. But I have built my own business from scratch. I do live a life where I am as disconnected as I can be from the structures that I don't believe in. I have empowered people to do things differently and to basically get involved in the world in a way that will make the world better, at least as much as we can. And as such, I am using my platform to say that we need to be preparing for general strikes, for shutdowns, for real concrete actions that are going to shut down the machinery of the Death Star that we are on. It is humming up. We can hear the thrum of the weapon being charged up because it's not going to just stop with Gaza. That is going to be the opening salvo of what is going to be a Western imperialist nightmare. It's not going to be enough for us to just go out and stand in the street and yell to nobody that cares. We have to actually be setting up strategies to actually fight back. And what is it? We do all the work. We provide all the labor and we provide all the consumption, right? I've suggested before something like a consumers union and obviously different and vaster kind of unions, but we don't have the kind of time that we need to get union participation to where it was before, and even to think of unions in the same way that we did before. Because in the end, all a union does is it negotiates with capitalists. It doesn't actually shut down things for a long-term period of time, and it doesn't restore power to the people. Like, look at the successful strikes that have happened. They have won, more wages and maybe some better healthcare or whatever for the people in those unions, but for the rest of us, what? Nothing. And so we also spend a lot of energy looking at these things and watching them and rooting for them. And that is great. These things need to happen. I am not saying that unions are bad. I am saying that they are not enough. We are governed by evil people who have no conscience and will not stop until their goals are attained. We cannot beseech them. We cannot even just yell and demand that they do what we want them to do because they don't care. If you're going to a protest, start some kind of group, get some names of like-minded people, start a Discord, start at some Signal groups, start getting together with people who want to actually do stuff and have ideas about how to shut shit down. Think about it clearly, right? When you go out to a march and you're like buying things all along the way and leaving garbage all along the way and essentially contributing to the system all along the way, right? And I hope you're wearing a mask out there because like there is still C-19 and what are y'all doing? But essentially they have co-opted protest as just a different way to make more money and to funnel more overtime to cops. I'm not a doomer. I am a revolutionary optimist to my core. But that also means you got to start with the truth. And the truth is that just going out and feeling like you got to say something and like yell and shout about it and march about it, that is, I understand the reaction, but you aren't doing anything. We're going to have to be uncomfortable. We're going to have to do things that are different than we have done them before. We're going to have to cancel subscriptions. We're going to have to stop buying things. We're going to have to start sharing things with our neighbors. We're going to have to start doing buy nothing. We're going to have to actually shut the machine down. And this is something that I am doing in my own life in a lot of ways, most of which I will never talk about on here. But they're not going to stop at Gaza. And there will probably be reactions from other countries to what they're doing in Gaza. And when that happens, all of the lights and the switches on our tremendous military machine are going to get flipped. And the Death Star is going to start firing. And we're the ones working the levers on it. We're the ones who are giving the energy to it so that it can fire and destroy the next thing. Like it or not, that's the truth. If you want to help the people of Gaza, or the people of Yemen, the people here in prisons, people here at our borders, we have to actually do something different and figure out how to shut this down because they're not listening to us. They don't care about our votes. They don't care about our words. They don't care about our marches. They don't care. So if you do care, you'll need to find a different way to get involved. We all do.